Hey everybody! So, today we're going to attempt, or complete, because I'm stubborn and I'll get it done, a charge system where I hook up to my starter battery, which gets charged by the alternator, back to my house battery. Now, I got online with this, found lots of different information, lots of misinformation, and I kind of struggle with it. That's why I'm just getting to this in this particular time in this build. Normally I would recommend doing this at the beginning, but I was really confused about this because nothing made sense, so I had to dig into it. So what I decided to end up going with, to start with, we'll talk about our they call it a battery link, a charging relay. I've heard it called, what's the other thing that it's, a bunch of things. Basically this will cut your line off from your starter battery to your house battery when there's a voltage drop, because the alternator puts out 14-ish volts and the battery puts out like 13.8-ish or so. I have the exact numbers written upstairs, but you really don't need to know it to get this to work, unless you want to know it, of course. So I went with this, get these guys. Your maximum cable size for this particular model is 1/0 wire. And it has a continuous rating of 120 volts. You go 20% higher, specifications for Blue Sea, you fuse this at 150 amps. But you'll need your battery link, or your, what do they call it, automatic charging relay, and two 150 amp fuses. Now this is if you decide to go with the wire that I went with, and actually they recommend using 150 amp fuses with this particular model. Like I said, about 20% over. This is good for 120 amps, but it can handle 210 amps for 5 minutes. It would trip this fuse at 150 amps and never go up to 200. So this fuse is well covering this. And I did decide to go with 1/0 wire, even though the math came out to 1 gauge wire. And then Blue Sea, I want to call them Blue Seal. Blue Sea actually has a link, which I will put down below, to their website, where you can put in your alternator, amperage, your alternators are variable, so make sure it's you check box variable. I think it was I can't remember what term they used, and then whether you're gonna have it fused or not, which you are, because you fuse everything, right? And it will tell you what gauge wire you need. Mine came out to be 0 gauge on their app. The math I did just came out to be 1 gauge, but I decided to go, it wasn't much more for 1/0 wire. Never hurts to go higher in wire. The original video I watched for this whole system, they said use 2/0 wire. It's way overkill. So I went with 1/0. Now, according to these guys, 1/0 at 25 feet can handle 400 amps. So if this alternator puts out way too much power, I'm definitely covered with the fuses. I could go higher on the fuses if it wasn't for this device. I bought a 25-foot section of wire, but I probably won't use that much. Okay, so now that we got all the mumble jumble out of the way, and I've seen the different versions of these, I will put the links to everything I've got down below if you want to start with what should work. I'll say that. I want to say could work, will work, but I'm going to say should work just at the beginning of this video. At the end, I might change that. But I've seen these on other people's videos where you can actually hit a button and jump start your starter battery if it was to die while you were out in the back country. Me being me, I would just jump this and bypass this. Also, the reason I got this is you have an auxiliary battery priority, which you hook up to your start. It says to hook up to ignition switch, but the way I understand it is if you're feeding power to it, it will always be charging that battery, so it doesn't do the voltage drop. My understanding, Blue Sea recommends you hook directly to your both batteries. You need a fuse two of these fuses, sorry. I don't think I mentioned that. Two of these fuses, one right after the battery underneath the hood, so this one will go under the hood, and one back by your house battery. I already have one installed. Two fuses, put the link below for this, put the link below for this. This does need to be grounded. We've got our 1/0 wire. Figure out what you need, go with that. Use your fuses accordingly. You know, so you never want to overwork your fuses. Got to cover the wire tolerance and the device or appliance you're using. So if you don't go with 1/0 wire, you may want a smaller fuse. But according to these guys, this is all copper wire. I only do copper. That 104 gauge will handle 150 amps. So on 4 gauge, you would actually, that's at 25 feet too, because remember your amperage, your wire has to be higher gauge the longer it is. So if you went 50 feet, you'd need, this 4 gauge would only handle 100 amps. So if you went with, so 150 amp, you could handle 4 gauge under 25 feet, according to that. So that's where I was doing the math, where according my alternator at 25 foot puts out 150 amps, 25 feet, which I'm not more than 25 feet, I only need 4 gauge according to these guys. I went overboard, but you don't necessarily have to. So because we're running, and then I can't really put the, I guess I could put the link below for Home Depot, or yes, I got this at Home Depot. I went to Lowe's and Home Depot today. So this is just non-metallic conduit. You can wet and outdoor locations, direct burial. I just took a piece of 1/0 wire in with me, made sure it fit in there. This is the outside diameter, and this is 3/4. I never verified it with them, but because they say it's 1/2 inch, but it's really 3/4 because it's 1/2 inch inside, I believe. So I got a 25-foot section of that because I'm going to run mine down under the van. I don't know where I'm going to bring it up yet. I won't know till I get underneath it. So on top of that, now that you only need these if you are going to run it underneath. I got 2 different type of straps, they call them. These are the 2-hole straps where it goes over the wire. So it'll go like that. Hold the wire against the frame. And then I got these, the 1-hole ones, which just goes like that. So that's going to run underneath. You're going to need some connectors for the bottom of here, which for some reason I can't find anywhere. I got enough to do this, but I need some to do my switch up there. Can't find them. I went to Home Depot and Lowe's because these came from Lowe's. I forgot to buy these at Lowe's, and the conduit came from Home Depot. You need something to drill into your van eventually. That's 3/4 inch. The smallest hole saw I have is 1 inch, so it's getting 1 inch. And I'm also finding on this van, don't drill things tight. Drill them a little bit loose. Use some sealant or something. I've made my life miserable trying to keep everything as tight and close as possible. So you're going to need something to do your battery terminal ends, or not battery, wire ends. This thing has been great. The hydraulic one that you buy is like 80 bucks. I can't remember exactly what I paid for this, maybe like 20-ish. I'll put the link for this below. You hit it with a hammer. I thought I was going to get all fancy and do a press, because I have a press downstairs, and put it and press it. Hit it with a hammer. Works great. Easy. You're going to need whatever wire gauge you're using. If you're using 1/0, I'll put the links for these below. Make sure you buy the correct size for the hole. For the battery, you need 3/8. So these are 1/0 with 3/8, they'll call them. You also, if you went with, like, these are 4 gauge one right here, with a 3/8. I've got some, must be in my other thing. Oh, here, and just if you were curious, that's what the inside of that fuse would look like. Oh, so here's some 4/0 with a 1/4 inch hole. I've had to buy these for my fuse block. So you got to make sure this hole comes in different sizes, and it makes a big difference. So all my 4/0s have 3/8, but anyways, that was the other thing I mentioned. And if you buy the right ones, the ones that I grabbed, like I said, I'll have the link below. It actually comes with the heat tape or shrink tape, maybe. I don't know, sure what it's called. Put it on there and you hit it with a, you can probably do it lighter. I do it with a heat gun, and it'll shrink that up nice and tight so nothing can hit on it. So anyways, I think I babbled long enough. We're just gonna jump into this. So the first step is to find your battery. So I'm gonna mount my fuse right here, and then I'll take off the battery positive, which hopefully it's a 3/8 connection from dead in the water. Go over to the fuse, and then take a wire off of here, and I'm gonna put it through my conduit and down, and slowly work my way to the back of the van, whether it be on the frame, on the inside of the frame. Maybe try to stay away from the exhaust. So actually, and let me rephrase that, on the outside of the frame so I can stay away from the exhaust, down along, and then somewhere along the line after the rear doors by the wheel well, you gotta pop it up inside. So like I said, I'm gonna kind of figure it out, but you got to be careful going by your suspension. I think I'm gonna do it like that. I got it through. Forgot to mention, I did cut this conduit about 2 feet shorter, which, give or take, like I said, because it was a 25-foot conduit and a 25-foot wire. And I used some liquid furniture mover to help the wire out, just a couple dabs here and there to push it through. That's why I was wearing the gloves. So anyways, let's put an end on here and start this out, see how this goes. Now I've decided, like I said, to go from the starter battery back. You could probably do it the other way. Oops. Oopsie. Just like that. It's a rugged frame. So this has an A and B terminal on it, and according to the manufacturer, it does not matter if you swap these. There's no particular A or B. I think on the diagram it might show something, but these can be swapped. So because of the way I'm coming in, I'm going to the B and mount that down there, bring it off, have it go to a fuse. I don't know if you can see that. Gonna mount it right there, and then it's gonna go to the positive via a fuse first, and ground to this. Okay, so everything seems to take longer when you're dealing with a van or building a van out, and running My house battery, connected my house battery and my starter battery was no different. Spent the whole afternoon yesterday up until, I don't know, 7 o'clock at night, getting the line run from the front to the back to the house battery, and then couldn't hook it up to the battery terminals. So I stopped in VIP today and I got a bunch of different stuff, but what ended up working was a cable spacer with long bolt. Now, I found this on Amazon, so I'll put the link below. So when you order, if you order everything, you can put this in too. If you have side mount, what do they call it? Side terminal mount battery. If you have a top mount, you're gonna have a different issue. I did not see any terminals for top mount batteries at VIP that would work with 1/0 wire. Only up to 4-ish, I think. So you might be I thought if I had top mount I would have been better, but I probably would have been worse off. So this worked perfect. Let's go see how I hooked it up. I was hiding from the sun. 80 degrees out today. So under the hood, got my fuse over here. 150 amp fuse comes up into this cable and goes to my positive. You can't really see it, but right back here is the one that goes to my starter. And then I put in the spacer that came with it, and then my 1/0 wire that goes back to the house battery, and screwed it on. Worked great. Plenty of room. Perfect. Nice and tight and everything. Very happy. Fan's going, so I apologize, but it is hot. So we're gonna test it. Start at the ignition and test this out and see how it goes. With one terminal hooked up, one side of the battery, I got a flashing LED light. Now that both are hooked up, I've got nothing. So I'm assuming because that green LED is supposed to be solid when it connects the batteries. So when I start the ignition up, it'll eventually, or right instantly, not sure yet, turn green. Shut it off. It should shortly after, instantly, don't know yet, shut off, meaning both batteries are disconnected. So anyways, let's give it a whirl. Fingers crossed, toes crossed. Oh, yesterday this LED was blinking. It's not blinking now that I can tell. Yeah, so let's start the van up and see what happens. Oh, we got solid LED. I think that's a good sign. So that must mean my battery is charging. Let's shut off the engine and see what happens. Hey! Just lost my friend. So, everything is working as it should. Light comes on, it's a little delayed. Delays coming on. And then when you shut it off, it delays shutting off. So everything's working as it should. Whew. Whoa, what a relief. I'm gonna list everything below that you need to do this project, including that terminal that I found, but again, only for a side mount battery. I'll list what wire I got. They sell other gauges, so if you wanna go lower, and then the battery link itself, the fuses, you need the 150 amp fuses, no matter what gauge wire you use. I recommend going at least one down, which, yeah, would be down 1, 0, 1/0. I think 2/0 is extreme. Like if you had some high performance alternator, I mean, that's ridiculous amount of current right there. So anyways, linked everything below. I hope you found this video helpful, because I think if I would have found this video before I did this, I would have found it very helpful. And gonna try to release my build videos on Wednesday nights. So I've got to go in and edit this one, because today's Wednesday, real quick, get it on uploaded, and my adventure videos will keep coming out on Fridays. That's the plan anyways. Don't hold me to that. So if you found this useful, hit the like button, subscribe, all that stuff. If you don't. Is what it is, right? So I'll see you out there someday in a completed van. Someday. It seems like this has been going on forever, but it will be over sooner or later. Well, till I hit the cabinets, and then everything will probably slow down because I have no idea how to do any carpentry work. So, catch you later. Someone's scared of the camera. What's the matter? You don't like the camera? Huh? Is it scary? Huh? Is it really that scary? Oh, jeez. Oh, jeez. It's okay. It doesn't bite.